Hello MYP1, it's Monday the 20th of November and I'm at home today unfortunately. So I'm sending you this video with today's work. So you remember that in class we talked about parallelograms and how you could take the bits off a rectangle and rearrange it into a parallelogram. So that meant that they had the same areas. So the area of a rectangle is the base times the vertical height. So the area of a parallelogram is also the base times the vertical height. And the very important thing is that it's the vertical height straight up. So I've sent in this sheet for you to do. It's all about finding the areas of parallelograms. I'll just talk about the first one. So here's question one, and it's got some information that you don't need. So we've got the base, which is 12. We've got the height, the vertical height, perpendicular to the ground, which is 7. So those are the two things that we're going to use to find the area. The base times the vertical height, 12 times 7, that's 84 centimeters squared. So there's some more information on there that the slant height is 8. That's information we don't need. And then when you get on to the later questions, so if you get as far as question 13, you might have to turn the page around to figure out the area, because let's have a look at question 13. We've got a height, which is 9. We've got a distance across it, which is 7. And then we've got a distance along there, which is 8. So none of those is exactly the base or the height, but if we turn the diagram round, then the 9 becomes the base, and the 7 becomes the height, and then the 8 becomes the slant height, which is not relevant. So the area is the base, 9, times the height, 7. 9 times 7, 63. Similarly for question 16, we've got a base of 12 and then a slant height of 13 and then a distance across there of 10. So we've got a base, but we haven't got a vertical height. But if we turn the diagram round, then we can imagine the 13 as the base and the 10 as the height and the 12 as irrelevant information. So for this particular one, the area is 13 times 10, which is 130 centimeters squared. For all of these questions, I want you to draw the diagrams neatly and show full, thorough calculations. So here's how I might set about doing number 16 on the paper. So question number 16. So I'm going to draw the diagram. I'm going to draw it neatly with a ruler, but I'm not necessarily going to draw it to scale. I'm just doing a kind of thing that represents the situation. So I want 2 equal sides there. So I'm going to make it 5 centimeters along the bottom and then 5 centimeters somewhere a little bit further up. Doesn't really matter where, it's just to illustrate the situation. And then I'm going to join those 2 up at the ends. And then I've got a parallelogram. So I'll make that my 13 centimeters. And then because I turned it round, I had a vertical height of 10 centimeters. I'll just put in the 90-degree right angle sign to show that that's a right angle. I'm going to put in some little arrows to show where things are parallel. So that is parallel to that, so they get 1 arrow each. And then that and that are parallel, so they get arrows, but they get different arrows to the other ones. So I've given them double arrows. And then finally, there was another thing, wasn't there? It was the slant height, which was 12 centimeters. That's actually not relevant. Maybe I can put that in brackets just to show that it's not relevant. And then area
equals base times vertical height so that's equal to a base of 13 centimeters times a vertical height of 10 centimeters. So altogether that makes 130 centimeters squared for an area. So I will double underline that answer. And then just note how neatly everything's lined up. So the equal sign's lined up, the 13 under the word base, the multiplication sign's lined up, and then the 10 under the word vertical height. So nice and clear, so you can see where everything comes from.